Hello. Looks like we're rolling. Today is November 14th, and here is your reading. You asked for a general reading, so I'm going to do a Zodiac spread. So there's 12 cards for the 12 houses of the Zodiac. I already drew them because it takes so long, so that the video didn't get excessively long. And yeah, let's get started. So I drew an extra card, which I like to read at the end. I think that tends to summarize the reading or kind of tie things together. And I also drew an oracle card for you. So I drew this oracle card to kind of set the tone for the reading as well. So this is a mixture of two oracle decks. It's like the Goddesses and Sirens and the Gods and Titans decks by Stacey DeMarco, and the artwork is by Jimmy Manton, who is my favorite oracle card artist. So let's see what you got here. Oh, you've got Apollo. Apollo is inquiry. So where can you shed light on things, right? The god of the sun. So how can you shed light and inquire right now? So maybe this is like an introspective time for you. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. So the way I laid them out, this is the first house. Instead, I don't have enough space to do a wheel, like the what do you call it? Like the an astrological chart. So I start here and I just go counterclockwise, which is kind of close. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So let's take a look at your first house. So your first house is your outward appearance, the impression that you give to people. So you've got the King of Swords. So the King of Swords is an interesting sort of place. I mean, and to me, this harmonizes with the Apollo card here. So the King of Swords, kings rule over the energy of their suit. So the King of Swords is he's a master of communication. He is a master of air energy is the sword. So intellectual things, mental capacity. So and it's using that mental stuff, mental prowess, to be able to transform things. Like that's the butterfly element in the card that you see on the back of his throne, and also there's some butterflies in the shape of his crown. So there's a transformative aspect to this. So, but in terms of outward appearances, I would say that this is a time where you are coming across as someone who either is carrying around a lot of knowledge and know-how with you, or you're communicating well right now, something like that. So that's actually a pretty good place to be. And this might actually just be resonant with the energy of inquiry. If you're really kind of examining your life right now, it's going to come across as someone who has a lot of mental energy going on, right? So that's kind of an interesting card to pick for first house. So the second house has to do with the material plane. So things like your money, income, livelihood, stuff like that. And it looks like right now you're not really making any progress in terms of money, income, your material possessions, like job as it relates to livelihood and stuff like that. It looks like you're, again, since your inquiry, it looks like you're trying to figure out like if you want to change anything or not, or what's the next thing you want to set into motion. We have the Two of Wands. So the Wands energy is about fire. And so when this comes up to do with things like livelihood and job, this is most often about like the spark or the fire that you have inside you. So it's the type of thing like, it's when work has to do with what you're passionate about, not necessarily what you're just doing in order to pay the bills. So I would say that in terms of like the material plane right now, I think you're trying to figure out like, okay, where do I go next? Like if you're trying to increase things in the material plane, like possessions, wealth, money, stuff like that, you're not in a mode right now where it's actually increasing, but I think you're in a mode right now where you've been trying to figure stuff out. You've been trying to figure out what is it that I need to set into motion, what plan, like that you have the guy holding the globe and he's planning an expedition in order to figure out basically, you know, how do I set something into motion and be prosperous and successful? So it sounds like you're in that kind of mode right now. The world is your oyster, but you're trying to figure out, well, where do I go? Where do I go on the globe? What do I do next? And you're not quite ready to take the next step forward yet. So if you look at the card, there is the wand. One of the two wands is actually still bracketed to this crenellation, this wall of the castle right now. So in the next card, he's set things into motion, but in this card, he's not quite ready yet, and that's kind of indicated here by that bracket that's holding things in place. Not quite ready to move forward yet. So let's look at the third house. So the third house is kind of like what we talked about over here, but like that's the place for communication, for thinking, for your communication with other people. Let's see. Interesting. So in terms of communication, this could also be like communication with neighbors or interaction with neighbors, and it could be like social activity, stuff like that, which requires, you know, to be social requires communication. So you've got the Nine of Cups reversed. So the Nine of Cups reversed, like in a really simple white booklet sort of way, it's like the wish card, right? So it's said that people are getting, you get your wish if this card comes up for you in a reading. I don't exactly look at it like that. I look at it in a little more complicated way. The Nine of Cups, cups are the suit of emotion, of water, of the element of water. So I look at this as the emotional fulfillment card. The previous card, the 8, the person in the figure in that card has set off on a journey to find something on an emotional level that has been missing. And so this is the card where the person finds it. He's found whatever was missing emotionally. It's out on display. Every card in the deck has like a dark side and a light side. So the light side is like the good that you see here, but the dark side is that, you know, if you look at the way the cups are arranged, they're arranged on this sort of arced high table or shelf, and there's a drape over it. So you can't really see what's underneath there. So there's something hidden. So, you know, you could look at it that in order to find the emotional fulfillment, there was a cost that had to be paid. That would be one way to interpret that. Or the other way is that there's something that's being held back, and there's a definitely, and if you look at his posture, there's like a defensive aspect to this. So I would say, this is the first card that you've gotten that comes reversed. So the way I read reversals is that reversals to me are basically about blocked energy. So if it's about something that you're expecting, I would say that could mean that there's delay. If it's something that you're working on, it means that it's going to be harder than you maybe anticipate. Because, and those are basically two sides of the same coin, right? They're both blocked energy, delays, and having a tough time at something, and things that are tough often take longer. So here the energy is reversed. So I would say that there is definitely something that you are having trouble communicating, whether it is about your deep desires, what's been missing and what you've been finding lately on your journey on an emotional level. I would say that this could be indicating that there's something that you're holding back, you're not communicating socially, that you're not communicating with your neighbors on an emotional level. It could be that this, like, whatever emotional satisfaction you found has now been lost too, because of this reversal. That's that blocked energy. You've been cut off from what it was. But for some reason it's been either hard to communicate, or maybe you're not willing to communicate it, and you're blocking off the energy on purpose. But yeah, communication looks like it's not exactly flowing right now. So your outward appearance, in terms of appearances, it looks like you are communicating well, because you've got the King of Swords over here. So in terms of knowledge, mental acuity, all of that stuff, that's what you're projecting your public appearance is. So I would say that this communication over here, the contrast is that whatever impression you are giving people, there's a contrast over here, and I think there must be something that you're holding back, or there's something that's not coming through, and it's being blocked. Maybe you want it to come through, and it's just you're unable to do it, you're not willing to do it, or something. you'll have to figure that one out, the paradox between these two houses right here. So let me see. I'm going to move on to the fourth house. So the fourth house is about like your home, family life, stuff like that, foundations in your life. Let's see, and it's stuck. Let's see how that's going. Okay, things are moving very quickly for you. So this is the Eight of Wands. The Eight of Wands are wands again, the suit of passions, the fire inside of you, the suit of fire. In this card, the basic meaning, since there's not a whole lot going on in this card, it is swiftness. It is swift. Things are moving very quickly. You have like projectiles that are flying through the air. The other thing is that things are focused, right? Because they're all aimed in the same direction at the same target. So things seem to be very focused, moving very quickly right now for you in terms of home, roots, family, something like that. So I don't know if there's a decision that's been needing to be made, something that you need to accomplish on the level of family, or that core foundation of your life. Some people look at this as like self-care, like, you know, your home, like more metaphorically, like you're in your body, taking care of yourself, that kind of stuff. But yeah, something's up and something's moving very quickly, and something is definitely on target. It's like heading towards its aim right now. It's right side up, right? So wherever things are moving, it's actually going quickly and it's heading on target. So the fifth house is about romance. It's about your love life. It can be about creativity, joy, self-expression, and okay, this is great. This is a really great card to get. So it looks like this is your first pentacle. So pentacles are the suit of earth. They're the suit of the material plane. They're the suit of things like livelihood. So in terms of romance, like it looks like you have a high level achievement in terms of romance. So I think in terms of your relationship, it seems like things might be going really well for you right now. In contrast to the Ten of Cups, where there's a lot of emotional joy and the people are like, the kids are dancing and everybody's happy. It's like a family scene, but they're not necessarily very well off. The Ten of Pentacles, is like there's three generations represented in this card. There's the father, there's the couple, and then there's the child. And you've got the two dogs, like a full-on family. There's like this strong structure, like a dwelling that they're living in. It's very opulent. They're rather well off. So I would say that this is, on a romantic level, something has really arrived for you. So I would say if the relationship is going well, it's like it's in a place where it's really strengthened. It's solid. It's what you've been working towards. Like you're really reaping the benefits of achievement. I would say though, like if a relationship for you has recently ended, another way to interpret this in the card. This card, in terms of your relationship house, would be that you've been building a foundation, and you know the people that you've been seeing over time in your life have been building the foundation so that you are now open and ready to have that long-term relationship that's really going to carry you forward in life. I would say that would only be the case though if you've recently broken up or something like that. But if you're currently in a relationship, I would say things look really solid, strong, yet you care for one another, and care for one another more than on an emotional level, right? Care meaning you put your skin in the game, like you're caring, like you're taking care of each other. So romance house looks really great. Awesome. So this is the sixth house. This is the house of, it's kind of like the day-to-day work, your chores. It could be like, it also has an element of health because you have to be healthy in order to work. But you've got the High Priestess reversed. So the High Priestess, this is your first major arcana card, so that's kind of interesting, and it's blocked. So the High Priestess really, This actually resonates pretty interestingly with the King of Swords too, because the knowledge that we were talking about that you're outwardly projecting, she's holding it literally in her hands. She's got the Book of Law, the Torah, in her hands. So she's the guardian of knowledge. She's the one who figures out how to mete out the knowledge and whether or not the people who approach her are worthy. She also has even more than what we know, because you'll notice that there's this curtain behind her that's basically hiding hiding what's behind her. There's an emotional element here too, because behind her, she's surrounded by water. And you'll notice also that her garments basically flow into this sort of wateriness. Like it literally looks like a sort of a stream at the bottom here. She has feminine energy, like she's got like all of the moon imagery of her crown, and then there's this sort of moon, I don't know what you would call it, a sculpture down below here that's kind of intertwined with the water of her garments. So this person, she is really she's like the gatekeeper. She has all the knowledge, but she also has the power to decide who's worthy of it and who's not. So if we're looking at this in terms of work, I would say that it's blocked because it came up reversed. So this could have to do with something where I don't know if there's a situation, because I have no idea what you do. I don't know if there's a situation at work where maybe you are serving as a mentor for someone and it's not working out. It could be that you need mentorship from someone, like you're needing some help and advice or training or some sort of wisdom from someone else right now, and they're not giving it to you. So all of that energy of the High Priestess, the person who has the knowledge and figures out who's worthy to give it to, the energy of that is blocked right now. So if you're the mentor, I would say that there's some sort of bad relationship between you and the person that you're trying to give the knowledge to. It's not flowing. Or it could be that, in terms of work, it could be that who you need to have mentorship from, guidance from, is not giving it to you. There's something blocking that energy right now. So you'd have to figure that one out. I'm trying to think if there's any other interpretations in this position. It could also just be, if it's not your work environment, or for instance, say if you weren't working right now, it could be your day-to-day work, like the work in your life could also have this blockage. Like you might not have access to the wisdom that you need in order to figure out what to do on a day-to-day basis. That could be another interpretation here. The sixth house doesn't look so great. Let's go ahead and look at the seventh house. So the seventh house, this is the position of Libra. This is about like relationships. So it could be not just relationships in terms of marriage, in terms of like being married, or your romantic relationships, but also the relationships between business partners, anything between like any close ties. So we got the other card I was talking about when we're talking about the fifth house, right? Instead of the Ten of Pentacles, you got the Ten of Cups, where you have this really nice scene of a happy family and the joyous children. And, you know, they might not be as well off and have so many possessions as these people, but for whatever they lack in possessions, they make up for in emotional fulfillment, right? This rainbow in the sky of the Ten of Cups. They have really reached the highest achievement of emotional fulfillment, which is the association with water and cups. However, it's blocked right now. So I'm thinking that, you know, you actually there's probably an established relationship, right? Because to get a 10, you know, if you look at tarot as a journey from like 1 to 10, 10 is really the culmination of the journey. It's the epilogue. So this is like something more advanced. This is not a relationship. This is not referring to a relationship that's fresh and new, right? It's something that's been established. There is definitely some sort of relationship where there is some blockage from that emotional fulfillment and joy. I mean, to me, this implies that since it's established, and I know one of the reasons why I don't like to do general readings is because they're always kind of vague, because there's been no questions posed, right? So, you know, this could be in any area of your life in terms of relationships. It could be work, it could be church, it could be a social group, it could be your romantic relationship, it could be parents, it could be children, it could be anything, right? But I would say that there's a mature relationship, one that's sort of seasoned and aged, where there has been some sort of emotional fulfillment and there's something blocked about it right now. The joy is blocked, or something is blocked and it's not in the quite the right place right now. Not much else to say about that, I don't think. So let's move on to the 8th house. So the 8th house is, it could be either major changes in your life. It could also be about intimacy, major changes in intimacy. So let's see what comes up. So I would say that, to me, this is more going to be an indicator of the major changes in life. So I think there is, it's Pentacles. So again, this is about livelihood, the material plane, your possessions, your ability to pay the rent, stuff like that. the ability to feed and clothe yourself. So there's some sort of something that's out of balance right now. It's not terribly out of balance because the card isn't reversed, but there's a couple of things that you're having to figure out how to keep in balance right now, and it's causing some emotional instability too, or like an effect on you. So because if you look at the, even though this is a pentacle and it's focused on earth energy, if you look in the background, there's like these really ridiculous, sort of comically drawn waves of water where these ships are being tossed and turned in a way that's completely unnatural, right? Like ships can't be at that angle. They don't pitch. They don't pitch forward and back like that. They kind of stay level as they go up and down. So this to me is an indicator that underlying, you know, the keeping these things in balance in terms of in terms of either intimacy or, you know, just the changes that are coming up in your life, there is definitely an emotional consequence. But keep working with it, and I think, you know, you can keep things juggling, right? There's this sort of the lemniscate, the infinity symbol that's shown here. You can keep doing that for a long time, right? But, you know, you have free will and you can change these cards. So whatever is being balanced here, I would say that you need, would be a good place to look to figure out how to like make some progression here so that the next time it's a different card and a different energy coming up here. So the next house is about your kind of like your wisdom, your philosophy, or it could be about higher learning, like if you were in school or if there's something that you're learning right now, it can be about that sort of stuff. So let's see. Oh, you've got the Queen of Swords. So you've got the King of Swords here, you've got the Queen of Swords over there. So it looks like, you know, that you're outwardly projecting a lot of mastery in terms of, you know, mental energy, intellect, communication, knowledge, all of that sort of stuff. And so the resonance here is about, you know, your own personal philosophy, higher education or religion, stuff like that. It looks, I don't know if you're studying something right now or planning on studying something or have been talking about studying something or investigating something in depth, inquiry. But it looks good. It looks like you have the nurturing energy of the Queen. So the King of Swords over here, the masculine energy is really about like mastering it, like subduing it, like having everything under control, whereas the Queen of Swords is more mastery in terms of being able to nurture something along and having it grow and blossom and flourish. So yeah, so something I would say, there's some definite, like in terms of your beliefs, higher learning, all of that stuff, there's definitely some energy where you're expanding that knowledge, you're expanding your mind around in that area of your life right now. So let's see, the 10th house. So the 10th house is like, it's the house of Capricorn, and you can look at it as sort of your reputation or career, right? It's like a different kind of this is like the general outward appearance, but this is kind of like, how would you say it? Like, could be public image, like a status thing, but it also, you know, you can think of it as like career as well. So this is interesting. So it looks like you're weighing some decisions, right? That's kind of making you take a pause right now. You've put yourself in a place where, you know, the figure in the card is hoodwinked. So, you know, she's taking away her vision, and then she's just like this juggling over here. She's holding two swords across her chest. So the fact that her arms are across her chest really means that her heart is closed off, right? So on an emotional level, she's trying to figure shit out and weigh her options, and she's like in a mental space right now where she's really trying to like figure out, is it this or is it that, or how do I navigate these two paths or whatever. So much so that she's really closed herself off from feeling emotions, either in terms of joy, in terms of the emotional intensity and whatnot, because she's so focused on that stuff. Now, I don't know if this is about career, but this could also resonate with the High Priestess over here, you know, when we were talking about this one, that because I was thinking it could be something where not getting the mentorship you need to do at work. So if this is about your career, I wonder if there's a decision you need to make, and maybe this is the advice that you're not getting. This is why you're having to weigh your options in isolation, like the way this card is configured. She's all by herself trying to make these decisions because maybe it's because you are not getting what you need over here. You tell me, right? I'm trying to think if there's anything else for that card. Nothing else is coming to me for that card. So let's take a look at 11. So 11 is the House of Aquarius. So it's going to be like your social life and friendships and the social interactions, stuff like that, in terms of friends, stuff like that. Let's see. Oh, well, that's the card I was talking about over here when we were talking about your third house. This person has like found the thing that was emotionally missing. So I think in terms of like friendship or social relationships right now, your social life, I think something's missing on an emotional level, right? So whatever was found over here was, in terms of your communication, social communication and stuff like that, there's something found, but it might be tenuous because this is reversed. I'm getting like on the level of friendships, like there's something missing on an emotional level. If you look at the way the cups are arranged, there's like a hole. There's like 5, there's 3, and then there's a separation here where there's like, clearly there should be something in that spot and it's not there. And since these are cups, it's something on an emotional level, a fulfillment level, and the figure is going off to find it. So I don't know if this could be like, you don't have as many friends as you used to. Your friends are not gathering together as often as they used to. Or, maybe there's a drifting apart of friendships right now. Or maybe there's been a conflict and, something's blocked off here. But it looks like, in terms of friendship, you're looking for something more right now. You're trying to either maybe add someone to the cohort, replace something that's missing in terms of friendships. And there's an emotional component to it. So that one's not so rosy. So let's look at the last house. This is the House of Pisces. This is like your kind of your mystical life, endings, tying things up. It's also kind of like your subconscious, like what's going on really down deep. What do you need to tie up before you head to the next level? So let's see what's going on in the 12th house. Oh, so again, it's a sword. You got a lot of sword energy in some key places here. So this is the 5 of Swords. So the 5 of Swords, you can see that the figures, there's winners and there's losers. And even if you're a winner, there's a consequence to winning. You can see that, like, the 2 smaller figures in this card are absolutely devastated right now. And then the figure in the foreground is very pleased with himself. So, it depends on who you see yourself in this card. Like, have you just lost something? And are you the one who's devastated, or are you the winner, but the winner came, the victory came with a price? It could be either perspective when you draw this card, but definitely this is sort of this is where sword energy can often turn into things like anxiety and depression, mental illness, since it's the sword of since swords are the suit of the mind. So I would say that in terms of like where you are right now on a subconscious level, there's some sort of like wins and losses. Like either you have been a victor in some sort of way, and there has been a cost to that victory, or a victory has happened but you were on the losing side and now you're the one who's actually kind of suffering a devastation. In terms of like this being like endings or closure, I wonder if this is how, in terms of the 12th house, I wonder if this is related to like this whole whatever ended up being missing over here has to do with the battle that was being fought over here on a deeper level. I'm trying to think if there's any other interpretation I want to give to the card. I'll leave it there. So yeah, we got through all 12 of the houses. Now let's take a look at the card I drew first, to like pull the energy to sum everything up here. Oh, so you got the Ace of Pentacles. So so whatever the current situation might be in all of the houses, I think summing it up though, you've got an opportunity. So aces are often about opportunities that are sort of short-lived. So there's an opportunity that's there right now and it won't be there forever. So you either have to seize it or decide that this is not the time and wait until the next time an ace comes up. But you've got the Ace of Pentacles, which is, Pentacles being the suit of earth. So the suit of livelihood, the suit of the material plane. There's some sort of an opportunity. So I don't know if this is like maybe a new job, I would say that this is not a new career, like in terms of like doing something that you absolutely love, but it could be a new way for you to support yourself. There's some sort of opportunity there for you to have like a new adventure in terms of how you relate to items in the material plane. So like how do you, like possessions or how you pay the rent or where you live or all of those sorts of earthy things like your dwelling, livelihood as it means earning your money and supporting yourself. That's interesting. I think that is all I have to say right now. So I hope you enjoyed this reading and I hope you found it useful, and take care.